So, welcome to the April 23rd edition. I just have to say up front that one of the things I teach is management classes in the history of management. My favorite story is the story of Frank and Elizabeth Gilbreth. If you saw the movie Cheaper by the Dozen, it's a Steve Martin movie. It's loosely based on their life, very loosely by the time that movie came out. But anyhow, the reason I loved Frank Gilbreth the most was that he believed everything could be done more efficiently. So one of the things that he if you put on your shoes and socks, you should put on a sock and a shoe on one foot and a sock and a shoe on another foot. It's faster that way. If you take more than 90 seconds to shower, you are wasting soap. If And one of the things that he recommended was when you're putting on a shirt, you start with the top button and work your way down, not the bottom button. And why that's relevant here is that this is take two of our conversation because we started our conversation and I realized that I was a whole button off and it looked too ridiculous, and that's why we had to start over. Um,
And, and I will comment just another worthless, needless bit of information. The Galbraith family is covered in a book called Cheaper by the Dozen because they had 12 kids, which
right,
I read in elementary school. And he was a motion efficiency expert and did that's
right,
discussed somewhat in the novel.
right. Well, I've done an incredible deep dive on them that I'll put in the show notes. I actually did it for my class back in COVID time. I was making videos, so people want to know more. You'll see it in the show notes. So anyhow, but that's not what we're here for today. What we're here for today is that I want to discuss. So Mike received one of the highest recognitions that a theater coach in that a theater coach can have, theater director can have, and that he was invited to Muncie. Now, first of all, just explain what Muncie is and so forth, and then we'll get into how you got invited there.
Um, Steve calls it Muncie, which was kind of the colloquial term for it. It was the International Thespian Festival, which was a big nationwide theater festival held at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, which is how I got to be known as going to Muncie for those of us that did it. Um, it was a week-long celebration of theater. Students, teachers from across the nation came together for a week in June. It was the last full week of June. Generally very hot at a school that had no air conditioning in the dorms, so you can imagine how uncomfortable it could be on particular days. Typical Midwestern corn country, right? Uh, and during the course of the week, there were workshops during the day. I'm sorry, let's start at the schedule. In the morning, there were 1 hour presentations, 1 hour shows, two of them in the morning. So two schools were invited to perform in the morning, a 1 hour slot. And then lunch, and then there were workshops in the afternoon, and then there was a main stage show in the evening. And then for those that were really not having enough theater, there was also a late show that happened after that, which discontinued when they moved. Um, so you could actually see what, four shows, two 1 hour shows, usually cutting from full length play, a full length show, and then another one act or 1 hour show late at night. Uh, you got there, you got invited to perform because they would send out an adjudicator or two adjudicators to your school to watch you perform a show. If your performance was deemed good enough, you were invited to perform at the festival at Muncie. Um, at that time, you did not have to do the show that they adjudicated, that they came to watch. So we did Blythe Spirit, proposed that, and were invited to bring a show, and we took actually Cutting from Butterflies Are Free. Christy Schultz and John Jensen, two of my strongest students ever, performed that. Uh, Janice Steen and Steve and I were just talking about, was there a fourth person in the show? And I honestly can't. I think there was. And was that Jim? That may have been Jim Miller.
I don't remember.
I just,
Obviously I remember the three of them you
yeah.
mentioned, but I don't remember if there's a fourth or not.
And they're the main characters. So I had to cut the show. I think we actually went about an hour and 10, maybe an hour and a quarter. And you rehearse it, and then you have to, move the show, your set, everything uh, to Muncie. You had some time to get on the stage and set up, a little bit of time, like a half an hour to set up, get your show. There was an intermission then when one show cleared out, the next show set up, and the students watched the second show. It was really a great experience, and you can't find a more appreciative audience, I don't think, than a bunch of theater students who are excited
Sure.
to be there and watch good theater. So it was always such fun to perform there. And of course, I saw when I took kids there many shows. Certainly, when I was executive director of the Thespian Society and the Educational Theater Association, I went to Muncie every year, saw lots of shows. You may wonder, well, what prompted us going? We had been there, I don't know, one or two times, and I thought, gee, these are great shows, but I believe my kids can do the same thing. And so proposed that we take a show, and the kids wanted to do it. We picked a script. Um, that particular script was not adjudicated. They didn't, you didn't have to take the show that they chose you with. You could take a different show, which we did. Um, and I just believed our kids could do as well, and they did. They did. That was a great cast. Good kids, good kids.
I'm the only thing that surprises me in what you said was that I thought it was I thought it was Jesus Christ Superstar that got the invitation. It was Blythe Spirit that got the invitation. Interesting.
Right, but we didn't perform Blithe Spirit. We performed Butterflies Are Free.
Right, right. But I mean, but what was the performance that was good enough that they said we want to have you here? Fascinating. I love Blythe Spirit.
Yeah.
I just I didn't know that was
No,
something that got it in.
well, unless, I could, Steve, it's been how many years ago? 50 years ago. I could have my
It
wrong
has
on
not
that.
been 50 years ago.
But
It has not been 50 years ago. It was the mid 80s. So
so what are we looking at? 40 years ago? Okay,
40
I'll give
years
you
ago.
10.
Fine. I can go with
40
40
years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
It was 50
And
years
I'm
ago.
surprised you
I
mentioned Jesus
shouldn't
Christ.
remember it. So
And I'm surprised you mentioned Jesus Christ Superstar, because that's when you talk about what shows I remember and I'm really proud of, that's one I'm really proud of. That was such a cool experience. Uh,
so I
that was
and
a great
I do
show.
want to talk about Muncie a little bit, but while we're on the topic of Jesus Christ Superstar, did you get any pushback about doing a obviously religious topic for a play?
No, no, I got some nice comments about it. What did I get pushback on? Some people were upset when I did Grease. Well, those kids, we were never like that, some people were offended with Grease, but not with Superstar.
Really? Okay, because I
Really.
was Greece I worked with. I did the props for Greece. Um, I really you had some pushback for Greece?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot, but somebody, I don't know if they said something to give me the principal or what. Word came back anyway, or somebody wrote a letter. I don't remember, because it was like, okay, fine. On the continuum of responses, it falls somewhere on that continuum from loving it to
Huh.
hating it, right? Uh, so yeah, that one did get a negative comment, but
Because
yeah, that was another fun show.
my only memory was I know you changed. There was a line that referred to rubbers, condoms, and so I remember that had to be changed. Whatever. That's my only memory of anything from that. I didn't think there was anything all that controversial in that whole play.
Well, they didn't like the way that, the guys they're the greasers, right? When they didn't think they were greasers, I don't know. And I think that line became, God, what was it?
The
Eugene,
line
right?
changed to
Eugene says
those were
something, which is Dave
leaves.
Hathaway, and he said they were used balloons.
Yeah,
I
used
think we did say
balloons.
that. They were used balloons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think Ralph Wright had the line and Dave Hathaway played Eugene.
right. Yeah, but my distinct memory of it was that it got a laugh from the audience because everyone in the audience got who it
New.
really was, and so it just any children who were there probably didn't laugh at that part, but that was there are just certain times where it's like anyone with a brain knows what the real reference was, so that was
And people get upset sometimes about theater and shows, and honestly, what you just suggested is really pretty true of theater, that it doesn't really corrupt kids. A lot of times, if it's over their head, it's over their head.
right.
Unless it's something very blatant and whatever. But I remember in college, we did a production of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. which is a great show. I got to see it on Broadway with Nathan Lane in the role of Pseudolus. And it's Stephen Sondheim, I think, did the music for it, and it's just this conglomeration of characters that are chasing around, and there are three houses, uh, Marcus Lycus and the house of I can't remember his name, that runs a house of ill repute, and and he has eunuchs in there, and one of the college professors said to the director, because we're you and I doing this in a summer program, and he said, "Well, I'm going to bring my kids because they want them to come home and ask what is a eunuch." So, theater can be used for education too, right? If they don't know, maybe they'll ask and they can learn something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I still to this day enjoy watching some cartoons, like some Looney Tunes that they definitely wrote jokes in there that I know way did I get when I saw it when I was 8 years old, and so and again, that's okay. It's okay to put in layers of jokes that you're going to understand more as an adult than otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
So back to the whole festival thing. It was a
yeah,
great experience. We did that. I think we actually did two shows. We did that, and then we did a late night show. Did Christy do Belle of Amherst? Christy Belle of Amherst is a one-woman show written about the Belle of Amherst, Emily Dickinson, and she kind of narrates her life and intersperses the poetry in it. And I did a cutting of that for speech contest.
yeah.
Went to state, got a one at state, moved on to the what's sometimes called Super State or All State, which is a festival, not a contest. However, the festival is kind of spiced up because to really give it some oomph, they choose the critic's choice for each event at the festival. And so we took the one act, the Belle of Amherst. Christy did it, and we were the critic's choice that year. And she was amazing with that. Just that one act. No, we didn't do that. We did one with John and Lori Belcher, which was
No,
called
no,
Babies. We
Belle of
took that for
Amherst.
the
I
late
mean,
night
she
show.
won with that. I was
Right,
there. So
right.
you're under.
No,
I mean,
right. At the fest at the Allstate, she did that and got the Allstate banner
okay.
as the Critics' Choice. Well, I think we did Babies for no John and Lori Belcher did that at the International Thespian Festival, but that may not have been late night. Uh,
Well, but what Mike is
it's
underselling
a
here is
blur.
the fact that it was not that Christie winning the banner, as it was known, winning the banner for that was phenomenal. Not, I mean, it was phenomenal to win it, number one, but to win it as part of a one act single person
Yeah.
performance. There was some talk at the time that no one act single person had ever won it before. So that was a
Well,
truly
I don't think it had. In fact, the executive director for the Speech Association, Craig, a good friend of mine, said he got complaints. Why are you doing that? You're a one-person show. What's wrong with this? Yeah, well, yeah, it speaks to the quality
oh
of the direction. No, the
no.
work that Christie was able to do to
Yeah.
create this character and make that impression on the critic. And it's one of the, so much over the years you just forget. I remember that critic saying, "Well, it was just so good," and he would say, "And then she was doing this, and it was so good." And that was kind of his comment about three times. He just didn't have words because Christie just did an amazing job of creating Emily Dickinson in that show. So
Yep.
another piece of when you think about what do you remember, I take great pride in, that's another one.
Oh, as well you should. That was uh, look, I don't have a vast experience in the theater as an attendee, whatever, but that play sticks with me. Absolutely. It was so phenomenal. Um so
Chrissy and John were great characters. They were great actors, good students. Worked
right.
lots of hours with those two.
Yes. Yes, Christy and John were great. I just a real quick share here. So I really love Butterflies Are Free. And so to the point that I read the script and I read it and I read it and read it and I pretty much had it memorized. And I went to a lot of the rehearsals as you guys were doing it. And I have a memory of one night I had an incredibly vivid dream that John temporarily got laryngitis And so so in the dream, you would ask me to be an understudy because I knew the lines. And so for some performance that was good, it wasn't not going to Muncie with it, like some performance that was going to be done locally, I was to take the role. And this dream was so vivid in my mind that I was literally walking into the school before I realized that was just a dream, Steve. That was just a
And that's a great show because John played a blind character.
yeah. And
It's about a blind character who his mother's, let's see, writing books called Donnie Dark about a little blind boy, and he wants to no longer be Donnie Dark. He wants to be, his himself. He wants to be free. Butterflies are free. Um, and he plays guitar and sings the song "Butterflies Are Free." And it's so John did an amazing job of playing a blind character, which is another challenge to do.
oh, he
And
was
Christy is
truly
his
amazing.
girlfriend, and Janice Kelly comes in, and the mother's all scandalized that her young son is not Donnie Dark, and he's got a girlfriend, yada yada yada. Great
Yeah,
show,
yeah, it was amazing.
which I saw on Broadway with Cure Delay. Just by the by.
Oh, that is awesome. So, okay, I really just wanted to get the Muncie story out for today's thing. And we wanted to keep it relatively brief, given that we've gone long. Do you have anything else to add to the Muncie experience, like to explain why people who are interested in theater at least should be interested? Like, is it open? Like, how if people are seriously interested in, you know, in the thespian world, how open is it to allowing other people to participate?
Well, anybody can go. Yeah, I mean, anybody can pay a registration fee. There's a lower registration fee if you're a thespian or you're a thespian troupe than a non-thespian troupe, members of the International Thespian Society. Uh, but anybody can attend, but only troupes that are registered can try to be adjudicated to perform. They now do, they've moved away from in-person adjudications to um, videotaping, sending tapes in, which I think is unfortunate because theater is a live experience to me.
Right,
And watching it on tape is, I realize it cuts costs and it makes it much easier for schools to be adjudicated because they don't have to pay nearly the fee that it took. You had to pay like $1,000 to be adjudicated at the time because they had to send two people out. So, the association had airfare and hotel and meals to pay for to send people out.
right.
Now they do it on video. And they moved, unfortunately, the festival grew so much that we could not seat all the students we moved from Muncie to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, which was an amazing experience. Uh, just I cherish those 10 years there. They were so cool. They did so many things for us, had a wonderful theater. Everybody got into the main stage. Then it got so big we had to have two main stages. Uh, so they started out with a big theater, which seated 2,000, and a very small theater, seated about 200, got even bigger. So we used the rehearsal uh, I'm sorry, concert hall. So we're in the main stage of 2000 and about a 700 seat concert hall, which had a stage. And then it got so big that it wouldn't fit in there. Certainly could feed them, certainly could house them, just couldn't seat everybody in the theaters for main stages. So they moved to Indiana University, and now they're actually going to go away from a university setting this coming year or next year. They're going to be at Louisville at a convention center, which is similar to what happens in some states. Colorado does a convention center. I think Georgia does one. Texas does one. Florida does a convention center. Um, It'll be a different experience because kids will be housed in hotels, which is common at almost every state festival, whether it's at a university or wherever. Uh, but they're going to be doing that.
Hmm.
I really cherish the experience that we had at Muncie and at Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, I think that's kind of sad because the hotel experience is a hotel experience, but for high school students, because anyhow, the things I went to in high school that I had to stay in a dormitory, it's like your introduction to college. So I think there's something to be said for that. So um
And Lincoln treated us very well. We had receptions every night that they decorated. Every night had a theme they made. They had people from their housing and and food service that created the most fabulous decorations, a different theme every night. So after the main stage show, the kids could go to a dance and the adults could go to a reception, which had lots of finger food and, punch and no alcohol, but lots of different finger food and a
Mhm.
totally decorated theme every night. And they've lost that when they moved away from Lincoln. So, but you know what? You give that about 3 years and nobody will know what it was, and
Right.
it's a memory for those who are there. It's like being a teacher and leaving a school. You go back in 2 years and nobody knows you.
Oh,
Everybody graduates.
yeah, again. Okay. It's not false modesty on his part, but Mike doesn't realize that people remember him decades later. That's why we're doing this. So
Well,
you
thank you.
okay, that's it because we wanted this to go short. This is where we're going to end this for this week, and we'll talk. We'll get more on breaks and what how the whole. Anyhow, see you next week.
Bye bye.